Oh boy, hello everybody. It is me, Emmerron, the pro GM man who also does Neon Inferno, and this is Wireheads, the podcast that I help to run, and this is episode 25. What the fuck? This is episode 25. What the fuck? Welcome. Joining me as always, of course, is my co-host.
Hello, everybody. I'm Diamond Dust, also a professional GM. I GM and I also, broadcast on Twitch when I'm home. Otherwise, I'm working my night job over in the guard shack. And I, of course, am very happy we've hit 25 episodes, because I was just like, I think it was like, because I was sitting here and getting ready to wait, we are on 25. We really have much in mind. However, Emmerron brought up a good point of what today's episode should be about. And it's kind of fitting, it's the 25th episode as well.
Oh, yeah. So, for those of you who have not yet heard, allow me to be the first one to give you the good news. The news that in a few short weeks, on October 15th, we will have Tales of the Red, Hope Reborn. Oh my god. I'm so excited. So I thought, what better topic, because this has been on my docket for a good while now, what a better topic to discuss than what the hell the Forlorn Hope even is? Because I feel like there's some of our audience who are going to know, they're like, that's a stupid topic. I know what the Forlorn Hope is. I've been around this game since it was like 2020, and it was the 90s, and I was playing this game, and it's been a great time, but I know what the fucking Forlorn Hope is. Why are you telling me what the Forlorn Hope is? For those of you who are doing that, I understand. Believe me, I do. I am new to this game, relatively speaking. If I did not play 2020, I still have yet to play 2020. I am a redhead at this point. I don't understand 2020. I know the 70s. I know the 40s. I have no idea what happened in the 20s from a player perspective. I know what the stories are. I know the lore, but that's about it. Diamond, though, I think you have a little experience with 2020 before Red, right?
I have a very, very small amount of experience with 2020, but it was not a lot. I kind of showed up at one of those tables where it was more, if you were in the know, you were in the know.
Sure.
I didn't last too long at that table. 2020 is a very crunchy system.
Yes.
Very crunchy system. However, 2020 was also the source material for Cyberpunk 2077. And of course, because Cyberpunk 2077 was being made, we needed to have, something to bridge the gap of time between what happened after the bomb and how we got up here to, the time of the 70s. Mm-hmm. Also, Bando, welcome to my chat. Also, of course, folks, as always, be sure to check out Emmerron's channel as well. But I suppose more importantly, it was a book that came out in Cyberpunk 2020 called Tales from the Forlorn Hope. Mm-hmm. And it's all, based out of a location that is, because if I remember correctly, the Forlorn Hope was originally located in South Night City, before the bomb happened.
Technically, I believe it was, yeah.
And then, of course, after some time, the Freemans who owned the place packed up shop and moved. So we're going to talk about it all here.
That's something where you might know the lore on this better than me, because the gap between 2020 and Red is where, because I know where it is in Red now, obviously, because we got a location for it in the core rulebook. But
it's a little China, yeah.
Right, but in 2020, I know South Night City was a little more ambiguous than it is by the time of the Red, because in 2020, the city map we get is literally mentioned to be it is the city's center. It's this tiny chunk of the city on the northern end of that central island in Morro Bay. It is not much bigger than that for what we get of the actual map, right? But the surrounds are more you develop these. And the south end of Night City was like, that's a combat zone. We haven't even fully mapped that thing out in the last like 20 years because it's just violent and it's basically a war zone. So my question is, do we know for a fact that they moved the Hope? Or is it one of those, like, it was South Night City, now it's Little China, and the Hope has been in the same spot?
I think it was mentioned, let's see, where...
Because I know Hilaria mentions the Hope as well as an adventure.
Or, I thought Hilaria was why it went from... What was it? Always in Little China during Red? Because I thought it got moved during that time.
Let me... Because I happen to have my book open roughly that section. So let me flip to that real quick. I can give you an answer on that.
Oh, well, I'm looking at core, and yeah, it's just always been Little China. Okay, because I thought, because I'm looking here, South Night, it's meant to be in South Night City.
But that's kind of where I'm like, the label of the district changed, I think, more than the area it's in changed. Yeah. So it's one of those things where, like, it's still in a combat zone. Like, that's, end of the day, if it's in a combat zone in 2020, it's in a combat zone in the time of the Red still. So what is South Night City has really changed. Because the old combat zone in Red is noted to be, like, historically what was thought of as like the worst part of South Night City in the past. And I believe the Hope is located not terribly far from where that is, the border with the old combat zone is. So it's kind of like, yeah. So bottom line is, Forlorn Hope is a very interesting place. There are several adventures that actually take us there in current cyberpunk Red literature. As mentioned, Hilaria 2045 takes us there. There is a excerpt within Tales of the Red Street Stories, which has us meet Rogue there before a mission. I believe Styles
Reaping the Reaper.
Yeah, I believe Styles meets us there a few times as well. So, like, oh, and of course, how could I forget? Danger Guile Dossier also has the bonus mission, the incident, start at the Hope as well. So there's quite a few missions actually, even now. That's weird to think, because it's like, until you line them all up like that, I never thought about it. But yeah, the Hope has a lot of missions, even right now, that like feature out of it. So I would maybe recommend running a few of those if you want to feel at your own table for what the Hope is like, and for some of the people there. Because Diamond, I know like you have like a particular affinity towards some of the really important figures, the key figures of the Hope. Like the owners and
partially
things like
because the Forlorn Hope, because when we did Tales of the Red Street Stories, the Forlorn Hope was like our home bar. Also on top of that, one of the other important things of the Forlorn Hope is not just, the place itself, it's the people that make it up. And of course we have the owners, John the Professor Freeman and his wife Marianne Freeman. So I suppose for starts, let's do we want to talk about what the book Tales from the Forlorn Hope is, or do we want to talk about the Freemans? Because I feel the Freemans are like one of the more important cogs of this world.
Let's talk about the Freemans first, because I feel like understanding who they are is probably going to set us up to talk about the book a little better.
So, Dr. John Freeman, he's one of the co-owners of the Forlorn Hope. As of 2045, he is 68 years old.
God damn.
Because he was 43 years old in 2020. So he would have been 46 during Firestorm. So John Freeman, he was a captain of a combat group he was a captain that was in the Army Rangers during the Central American Wars. And he did long-range reconnaissance. His team was known as LRT 601. Now, I don't know if that number will be important at all down the road. And to understand, this biography is collected from what we could find on Mr. Freeman. He got seriously wounded. He got a very, very serious wound that basically forced him out of the army. So he went on to get his PhD in military history and decided that he would, go on to a life of supporting soldiers and ex-soldiers. He is a fixer. And at some point in either like the late teens, early 20s, at some point in the late teens, he met Marianne Russell Freeman. Marianne, and they became, husband and wife. Marianne's a little bit younger than John. Nothing wrong with it, as long as everyone's adults. And mentioned here in like John's biography, the John and Marianne moved the Forlorn Hope to Little China, which, from what we are determining, it wasn't so much that it moved; it was the district lines got redrawn.
Well, and I mean, if it says they moved it, then they may have moved it, but it's because as you're introducing this, actually, I looked into the old book where they talk about it being at the border of Charter Hill. And Charter Hill, I believe, it's up. It's like up in like Watson. So, yeah. So it did move. It did move quite considerably. The area where the Hope used to be, actually, funny enough, is roughly where Valhalla, I think, now sits.
Oh, Glitch City now?
Yeah, because Charter Hill is, if I remember right,
north end of New Westbrook, I think, is where Charter Hill is.
Right, that's where I'm like New Westbrook, Upper Marina, and Watson, where they intersect, is Glitch City. So it's not far from historically where the Forlorn Hope would have been, which is kind of wild. But yeah, no, like they actually did move quite a bit, actually, just looking at the old book. So, yeah, John and I am not going to get into details about it. We did do the first adventure of Hope Reborn. And you do get to meet John. Yeah. And his wife. And I got to say, these two, from what I have read through the 2020 books, they are a very rare anomaly for the street folk of Night City. An old, happily married couple that kept it together for, a while. Yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, Marianne could throw you on your ass all the same. Even if they're an old married couple, she will still kick your ass. That's the best part about this, is she's still a solo at heart.
I mean, if you look at the color, or like the cover, it looks like she's holding a Militech Mastiff.
Oh yeah, no, she will kick your ass, like hardcore. She will kick your ass.
And from what it looks like, also they allow Rogue to come from the afterlife over to the Forlorn Hope to scout out talent. It looks like, so that's probably why we actually run into Rogue in Agents of Desire.
Yeah.
Which it probably wouldn't surprise me. But also on top of that, the Forlorn Hope, when we look at like its history, John set up this place as very much a place that the patrons were very much war veterans and very seasoned edge runners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, like this is a bar where, like, if you're here, I mean, even if you're being asked to meet someone here, like with the way Rogue does in Agents of Desire, you aren't just anybody, or at the very least, the person you're meeting there isn't just anybody. Like, you might be on trial as like a new talent for a fixer, But if that fixer's running the biz out of the Forlorn Hope, there's somebody for sure. They've got a pedigree.
And also on top of that, and the people that run the wiki, I know I am looking at the wiki for like quick reference on some of these things for now. Even during the 2020s, like if you were an edge runner at the bar as like a freelancer there, I mean, you had it in-house. You had like in-house clinic, weapon maintenance, secure conference rooms, even job referral service out of the Forlorn Hope. Like this place, this was the spot. If you have any reason to walk in here, you've got it going good for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's ultimately like, so let's start to talk what the original book was. Let's talk what was it. So much like the book that we're about to receive in a few weeks' time, the original book was an adventure book. I believe it was disjointed. I don't believe that it more resembled what Street Stories would be in Red, where the adventures had nothing in common other than the fact that the patrons of the bar were the mission givers, essentially. So you were meeting people in the bar, doing a job for them as an Edge Runner crew. Unlike the Tales books, which are limited to Night City and doing stuff within it, these missions were done all over the world. Like, they were not limited to Night City, which makes sense, I think, because like 2020 was less of a system that relied on Night City as its only setting. It was much, much, much broader in scope than that. Whereas Red is very much like, it hasn't limited itself to Night City, but in terms of giving us high resolution detail on anything, all those details we're being fed are for Night City. They're not really being fed for the world at large. At least as of yet. We haven't got any word that there are plans to do that. And even Jay has said, like, right now they're sticking to the city. And I think that, I mean, it makes sense, because it's like, most people are going to be interested in Night City as a setting, I feel like. It's the one we all seen in the video game. It's one we've seen in the anime. It's the one that people are going to relate to the quickest, I think. And the people who are crazy and intrepid, and they want to go out and do other things, it leaves a lot of blank canvas for you to paint your own lines and determine like what you're doing. And that's where you get things like my friend Robert, who's like planning something where he's playing like an Arizona based campaign that's like very Mad Max, and like Nomad is like the main power blocks and things like that. So it's kind of fun to see what people come up with, right? Because the world beyond Night City might look totally different depending on who's running your table, but there's like enough guidelines, I feel like, to do that. It does make me kind of happy then that like the new Forlorn Hope book, we've been told, is going to all be within Night City, at least as far as I am aware. That all the things we've been told about thus far indicate that it's dealing with the Hope directly, not the clientele inside so much.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, speaking of like people, one of the other things is they're showing us a staff list. They downsized a lot from their glory days in the 2020s. But I'm trying to think, like with the Forlorn Hope. Where I'm trying to remember, because I haven't read through all the tales from the Forlorn Hope. Like, I'm trying to remember how far out they actually send you in some of these adventures.
Well, like looking at the book right now, I mean, they've got like quite a few that just send you out. So let's see, because I'm looking at this very first one and I'm trying to, the images up front are these are underwater. So yeah, the first one, they have you like doing like an underwater, like almost like looks like 007 type thing. And and this might be more of a campaign that I gave it credit for, because they even mentioned, like, in the second one, they mentioned, you know, having done the job for the guy in the first one. So yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those things where, you know, the jobs are, so the second one takes place in Europe, I should say the third one takes place in Europe. The fourth one, let's see, where is this one taking place? Fourth one looks like it might be within the city itself, as far as I can tell here. The fifth one is Colombia. The sixth one is where is this one located? See, because that takes you to City Medical. So this one's another one that looks like it's in the city. Yeah. So it's like it's a mix. It's definitely a mix. There's some that are number 7 is in Brazil, and number 8 is, let's see. Yeah, and the last one's in Night City. So it's a mixed bag. But I know Jay mentioned, like, they have you going all over the place. So I'm only briefly kind of skimming them at this point. Like, I don't know enough about the Forlorn Hope, and I haven't read it in depth to, like, know what the adventures are, because I've never been as used to reading the way that 2020 writes its adventures compared to Red. Red does, like, a very good job of, like, organizing the beats and things like that, where 2020 kind of, like, just throws it at you in parts, and then, like, has you, the GM, kind of parse the beats yourself, which I've never been as good at reading, you know, without really, especially because, like, I don't know the 2020 rule set quite as well as I do Reds, even though they're based on the same core stuff. It's not the same thing. But yeah, ultimately the book itself looks like it is a campaign from the looks of it, but it might just be because some of them have, like, they are semi-referential to the other ones, but maybe you can do them in any order all the same, like in Tales of the Red Street Stories.
Yeah. One of the other owners, like I had mentioned, was Marianne Freeman. Marianne is a tech.
Oh, she is?
All right, yeah. Well, I imagine so. You know, probably her tech though being very much bartending, because that's very much, do you have the skills to do it? But she was 38 in 2020. She's 63 in 2045. So not a huge age gap. But
no, there's like 5 years. That's less than my actual parents are. So, like, yeah, that's there's nothing weird about that.
Yeah. And I remember, I think it was David Ackerman that had mentioned that Marianne. I think it was David who mentioned this, that Marianne was very much a prediction or a projection that, you know, transgender folks would be a little bit more of a commonplace, that wasn't so much of a issue.
Yeah. No, the way he said it at Gen Con was, like, it was so beautiful, because it was just like,
she was also the first. Go ahead.
Yeah, she was the first one that was kind of, like, just noted as being, like, because it says right up front, like, she had a sex change. She was born male, now she's female. And, like, there's even a question, like, isn't that kind of strange? He's like, and you know, he's like, no, not really at all, because, like, she's shown me photos before of what she looked like before, but, like, I've never been able to associate the person in the photos with her. Like, she's always been a woman. She was a woman when I met her. She's still a woman now. Like, never been different. Like, What are you talking about?
I mean, you also encounter that with, when, some folks have seen, well, I think Kay has seen pictures of me like pre-transition. She can't seem to associate that with me. So,
yeah, I mean, it makes sense though. Like once someone is transitioned, like I've known people who've transitioned from like, one way or the other. And like when they come out the other end, like you could see the resemblance. But other than that, it's like, wow, like, yeah. So you come out the other end of transition and you're like, okay, like, yeah, that is who you are. Like, it's not like I couldn't associate like logically who you were in the past, but like this is who you are now. And you, like, I have yet to meet someone who's gone through all of that I didn't think like this is the, the true you, right? This is you as you should be. So it's one of those things where like, yeah, it was really well spoken by Dave that he was just like, yeah, when we were writing this sort of thing was kind of just in our area all the time. And so for us, we figured, give it 40 years from when we're having those conversations. It's going to be
it should be fine.
It's going to be a totally normal thing. Like everyone's going to just know someone that did it and it's not going to be a big deal. And I think he even said at the end, he's like, regrettably, that hasn't happened. And it's like that, and
all the predictions that Mike and crew has made,
right? That the ones that don't come true are the ones that are genuinely like they would be a good healthy societal like progress. So without talking too deep into that, but yeah, it is worth mentioning that she's in there and they made no big deal about it, like at all.
Oh yeah. Though looking at the 2020 list here, so we have like a whole like 12 staff members for the Forlorn Hope, and in the time of the Red, there's only 4 known members at this time. So in 2020, of course, John was one of the co-owners,
right,
of the Hope. But there's also a man by the name of William Dollar Bill Dollarhide, which I wonder if we are going to actually get some follow-up on what happened to these people.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine, depending on what their role at the Hope was, like if they were more like security or things like that, like, I mean, bad things happen to security people in combat zones, So... who knows? Because does it say what role he had in the Hope?
He was an owner and a local fixer. Marianne was owner, manager, and barkeep. Andy Needles Chen was a local ripper doc.
Okay.
So we got Max Ice Pick Johnson and Annie Trigger Capolino for security aides. Johnny Ringo Peterson as a bartender, and Melissa Godiva Willingham as bartenders. And then we had 4 house band members as well. Susan Sundance Donner, Brenda Banger Canarieto? I don't know. I don't recognize the last name.
Is this on the wiki what you're reading?
It's on the wiki. It is on the wiki.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll see if I can get a good pronunciation for that.
ZZ Destroyer Daniels. What a name. Rubellard, Ross Angambos, St. James. My gosh. I am not on it today with names.
Yeah,
I am
hold on.
Sorry, chat.
Staff, here we go. So yeah, so we have John the Professor Freeman, Marianne Russell Freeman, Bill Dollarhide, Andy Needles Chen, Max Icepick Johnson, Annie Trigger Capolino, Johnny Ringo Peterson, Melissa Godiva Wallingham. And yeah, you have Susan Sundance Donner, Brenda Banger Canariato. That's probably how you pronounce it. It's at least closer. Zeke ZZ Destroyer Daniels, and Robillard Ross Anagbo, or Angabo. There we go. St. James. Yeah. Ross Ungabo. What the heck? Yeah, no, that makes sense. The one that they have mentioned, yeah, because it's now in 2045, we have 4 noted people, though I will say there's a possibility we just may not have seen all the members of the Forlorn Hope yet. And if we are really going to get involved with it, there may be more than this in 2045. They just haven't expressed it yet. Because I know they mentioned Grace Steele in 20.
Reaping the Reaper.
Well, it's in Reaping the Reaper, and they also mention her in Hilaria, I believe. Or at the very least, she gets mentioned in the scream sheet associated with it. Doc Stoic, I don't know where Doc Stoic gets mentioned.
He's mentioned in I think he's actually mentioned it in like the background of Agents of Desire, but he's also mentioned in Reaping the Reaper as well.
Got it.
He's an older, probably ex-trauma team doc that works out of the Hope at this point.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So bottom line, then obviously it's John and Mary, because they're the true owners of the bar in totality. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that roster gets updated. But yeah, Prepper Jack, the new book is they've said it's going to be a full street level campaign, and that there are some branching paths. Jay's told us we can expect branching paths within the narrative. I think I heard that there is a part in there where like one of the adventures could just straight not happen, basically, depending on how you pick your way through the campaign. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know because I haven't seen it yet. So I need to I'm just saying what I think I've heard. I believe I overheard that he was telling someone else that. I was like, that is wild. That is absolutely wild. So I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to see what they develop the new book into, because the way they've been talking about is you get to determine the future of the Hope in Night City and what happens to it. So I'm really curious how that's going to take shape. Yeah, choose your own adventure, kinda. It definitely feels, the way they're advertising it feels like that for sure. I mean, to be fair, even Tales of the Red Street Stories kind of has one of the missions in it where like you only do the mission if you choose to do things a certain way at the end of another. So it's like it's interesting that that's kind of becoming a common theme if in fact what I heard is accurate. And I'm not misremembering something that I overheard at Gen Con.
I think so. I think that's like a way that Adventures 8 and 9 tie together.
Well, 8 and 9 in Street Stories, yeah. I mean it more as from what I've heard about the Forlorn Hope specifically.
One. There, from what I remember when James and Jay were talking about it, there was a few different there's a few different things that could happen throughout the book that impact the final results of later adventures.
Yeah.
So it may be a situation where maybe you fucked something up early on in the adventure and it comes around to bite you in the ass later on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you know me. I love it when there are consequences to action or inaction. It's like one of my favorite elements of cyberpunk is how much consequence matters. Like picking the right path is a very important thing in the game.
So the Forlorn Hope itself, while it is technically a bar, it's not. It holds a very special kind of significance to the 2020 players and some of the red players, like the Afterlife does to the 2070s players.
Yeah, I was about to say, because the Afterlife didn't exist.
Of the 70s.
I was going to say, the Afterlife didn't exist in the 20s, did it?
That's a good question because I know there was like a receipt of Rogue purchasing the place.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look because I thought I heard at one point that there was a bar in, let's see, games there. A visitor's guide to Night City. Wait, what the heck is that book?
Oh, it's around in 2013, 2020, Red. Okay. All right, so it's there. It's a little splotch.
Oh, it is there in the 20s. But just what, a really tiny splotch?
Yeah, it's a little bitty place.
Interesting. Okay. Because yeah, there's only one path.
Around
It's the afterlife. Okay. Yeah, and then that's mostly just talking about. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean it is cool because I think that. Oh, Afterlife Central Night City. Here we go. I found the actual article that talks about it. Yeah, and in the 2010s and the 2020s, it becomes a bar. And then barely escapes destruction in the Fourth Corporate War, and then it evolves into what it is today, and Rogue buys it. Okay, got it. Okay. Now I understand. I am back on the same page. Because, yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, but the Afterlife was not well known as, like, the place like we come to know it in the 2070s. Or even in the 2040s. Even in the 2040s, it's got a reputation. So it's like, the Forlorn Hope, I think, kind of had that rep that the Afterlife would take down the road. Or at the very least, if the Forlorn Hope didn't, Atlantis definitely did in the 20s.
And then the other thing that that was mentioned about the Forlorn Hope, there is the possibility that, well, there was the possibility that the Forlorn Hope was going to make it to Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
There was artwork, there was an unused concept for a quest location.
Yeah, for the logo.
And
it looked like it's like an SMG, where it's like Forlorn Hope is written on the side of it and the bar is on the magazine. It's really cool.
And then, as a hat tip to Marianne Freeman, Claire Russell. Marianne Russell Freeman, Claire Russell, and there was in the file notes. There was the possibility that Marianne may have still been around by the time that the 70s came up.
I mean, if what is that? That's another 30 years on.
Should be pushing 93, so I don't know about that.
Well, but how old is Rogue by then? Because Rogue was young, like in her 20s in 2013.
That's right. She's like in her early 80s.
Yeah, like Rogue looks damn good for 80. And if Rogue was able to pull that off, I can't see why Marianne wouldn't be able to,
This is true.
That's kind of the way like age doesn't matter nearly as much in Cyberpunk 2077. Because, like, the text is sustained. I mean, hell, fucking what? Arasaka Man, not Yorinobu, his dad.
Saburo.
Saburo, yeah. Saburo's pushing, what, 200? Like... Or he's like, what?
Yeah.
He's one... Because he was born in before World War II. Which means... Yeah, I mean, he's pushing 150. And he's the only one, I feel like, in 2077 out of the major cast that you look at and you're like, damn, man, you old. Wakako kind of hits that note, too, and she's definitely not that old. But, like...
Well, yeah, she was young in the time of the Red, though. She was a young lady.
Which is crazy, though, but that's what I'm saying. Like, she looks much older in the 2070s relative to her actual age compared to, like, Rogue.
Even his fucking 2020 art, he's a very old man.
Saburo is?
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the 20s, he's like in his 80s, probably. 80s, 90s.
104 years old at the time of the nuke.
So he's born in 1916. So that's why I was like, I thought he was born during World War One, and then Arasaka.
1919. There it is.
1919. Shit, that's crazy. Oh yeah, because the fourth World War is 2023.
War
yeah.
One.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah.
Or just before America joined World War One.
So then doing the math, 2077 minus...
He's 158 in 2077.
Jesus. Okay, yeah. I mean, he is ancient, and he's still kicking. So if he's still kicking, like... admittedly, he's the president of one of the most powerful corporations in the entire world. But, like, putting that aside, like, the tech exists for people to live a really, really, really long time. And, like, not die of natural causes. So, like, Marianne could definitely still be around at 90. No shot. I think that she's... I mean, even her photos in Red... from when we see her noted in like Tales of the...
Look too old. I've got her portrait pulled up.
Yeah, like she doesn't look that old at all. Like she looks like maybe she's in her
late 40s.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, like late 40s, early 50s. She doesn't look much older than that though. So for being, you said she was what, 63 in
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm like, for being 63, she looks like 13 years younger than she realistically should be. She doesn't look like an old woman. She looks like middle-aged at best. So yeah, like especially for someone who's seen the shit she's seen, like she doesn't look nearly that old.
So with that in mind, I think, I don't know about you, I'm looking forward to this, also seeing how Artel writes a campaign.
Yeah.
And wonder how the community's gonna like it. But I think we're coming up on the hour.
Kind of, sort of. We started a little late, so, but yeah, we are coming up on the hour roughly. And I know you've got work later, so I'm also like, I feel like we've said our piece about the Forlorn Hope, so I'm not opposed to moving on from it. But yeah, I also I'm very excited to see what a pre-written campaign looks like in Artel's eyes. Because initially, when they released Street Stories, I was under the impression that the book was going to be a sort of campaign and was designed to be run cover to cover. And it kind of is, sorta. Like, there is a semi-logical progression through it, it feels like. Where, like, by the time you get to Reaping the Reaper. By the time you get to Reaping the Reaper, that's like a really good like midpoint for the campaign. And by the time you get to Bathed in Red, it's a One Red Night is the true last one. Yeah, by the time you get to One Red Night, that feels like a really, really solid finale to the overall book. So it's like there is a logical order that those things are arranged in, even if they don't have any like hard continuity between them. That's where I was a little surprised when it was Gen Con last year. So not 2024, but 2023. And I was selling the book at Artel's booth, and Dave Ackerman was next to me. And I was telling someone there, like, oh yeah, you can basically run like a whole campaign out of this book, running it to cover, or you can just pick and choose whatever suits you. And once the customer had left, Dave looks at me, he's like, you can? I didn't realize that's what that book was. I'm like, my group did, and it worked great for us. So like, yeah, you could use it that way. And he's like, huh? Like, so like clearly it wasn't the intention, but it works fine as that. So to see that being like a happy accident, I'm going to be interested to see what a full, actually built to be run as a straight through campaign, what that looks like by comparison. Because I think they nailed Street Stories in the way that it progressed things. And I'm very excited to see how that will factor in.
Also, of course, Just a wee bit of insider knowledge. I know a little bit about the cast who wrote it. It's going to be good. If it's like a lot of the same people that have come back for all the other previous books, this is probably going to be one of their best books yet. And I'm going to put that up there against Black Chrome and Danger Gal.
Well, and I think when they announced it at Gen Con last year, they did say like it is a lot of the same authors are working on it that have worked on their other stuff. Like it is, they know the people they like to work with for things like this. And yeah, like I think we can definitely expect the same quality of writing. I know that, like you've said, we have had a little bit of a sneak peek getting to help Artel at Gen Con in terms of the first adventure. And man,
it's good.
It's so good. Like I cannot wait for everyone to check it out. Cause like, yeah, I've seen some things and I am very excited to see what the community's reaction to it is and how you all feel about it as you go through it. Yeah.
So, I think on that note. Oh, wait, sorry, I just about closed out your video. I'm so sorry. Oh, fuck.
How fucking dare you?
We're 25 episodes in. I should have my shit together, but I don't. All right.
It's okay. There's plenty of days I don't have my shit together either. I'm barely holding it together every day as it is. Anyway, thank you guys as always for joining. Yeah, thank you for joining on my end of the episode here for a discussion about Forlorn Hope, its history, the characters, what we have to look forward to. Next up, over on Diamond's channel, which is going to be linked down in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, we are going to be doing a little bit of reflection. We're going to do a little bit of introspection on the fact that we've been doing this for 25 episodes still fucks me up. I don't even know how we're here doing this 25 episodes later. I'm like, I've literally got the plankton. I didn't think I'd get this far. Like, but it's honestly, it's really exciting. So we're going to talk a little bit about what this has looked like for us, how it's affected us, some of the stuff we've done as a part of it. So yeah, we're going to have a little reflection time and go back and think about some stuff. But I hope you all join me there. But for Wireheads on my channel this week, as always, I hope you have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we will see you all next time. Peace, guys.
Bye.